Good morning, brothers. Welcome to A Brown Bag Gentleman. My name is Scott, and today is Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas one and all. Today is going to be actually, for me, kind of a somber video because I'm remembering my dad who just passed away on Sunday, so 3 days ago my dad died. And today's Christmas Day. It's kind of lacking without him. And just thought I would spend today shaving with vintage equipment and talking about my dad. So bear with me with that, I ask. But of course we're using, I'm thinking circa 1959. My dad was a newlywed young man back in Vermont. He was a surveyor back in that time frame. So way back there, so the types of things that he would have used, of course, just a basic little silver tip Gillette razor, which is all he would have used. He wouldn't have done an adjustable one because that costs more money. Very frugal farmers there, so yeah, this is probably what they would have used. And I remember seeing this same razor on my grandfather's sink late in the 80s and 90s. But of course, we're going to use a boar brush because yeah, they wouldn't have used anything fancier than that on the farm, especially. But of course, I can't just build this up on my face. So yes, I am going to use a bowl. And of course, it's just a simple little pottery bowl I got locally here from local artisan here in Sanford, North Carolina. But let me put some water in that, the sink. I'm going to start just by dipping that in there, a single serving. I've already swirled this in the container. Oh, you don't know what soap this is. So I've already swirled it in the container. The soap is also vintage from 1959. Tabac, that's when this was created in Germany. I can't pronounce this. I can't see it without my glasses, but yeah, a town in Germany is where this is from. So I swirled this 100 times to build up the soap in the brush. And you saw me put one application, and now we're going to swirl it around in the bowl about 150 times. So let's start with that. Okay, that's 50 times, and I want to add a little bit more water here. I've already shaved this earlier in the week here, and didn't think I had enough water last time, so I'm adding a little bit more water. So 50 in and 100 more. Okay, get that off there. And that's looking glossy and nice. So yeah, I don't think I need to add any more water. We'll just simply do 50 more swirls. As you can see, this is a smaller bowl because I'm just holding it in my fingertips there. So it's a relatively small bowl. But what it would have been, remember what they kind of would have done back there in the 50s, late 50s. So we built my soap. I've already washed the face, but let's just do a quick splash. I can feel it's drying off, but it's not dry, but I'll still just splash a little water on. So we're of course, being a boar brush, we're going to paint this on. We're not going to scrub this on. Paint this on so I don't get all scratched up. Because boar brushes are not soft, gentle little brushes, especially this one. But as long as you know that going in, yeah, it's not really hard to use. My grandparents lived in a farm where I can't say my dad was born there because I don't think they were living there at the time. My grandfather's father was living there at the time. So they didn't move in until later, when they got the farm. But I remember my visits to the farm, in that upstairs bathroom, which was, like a sitting room at the top of the stairs with it converted to a bathroom and all that. Didn't have a full wall to the ceiling. It was very rustic farmhouse. Very cool. Growing up as a young boy, it was just awesome. And of course, the razor, because this is such a mild razor for me, I put the most aggressive blade I have. I put a feather blade in there, and I've used it once, so I got that initial use out of there. Closing up the gates, snug it down, looks even. Let's warm it up. Now my dad, so he just passed away on Sunday, this past Sunday. He died of Alzheimer's. About 5 years ago, he was diagnosed here. He at that time he was living here locally, 6 blocks from my house, and we took care of him for the first 3 years. When that happened, and it got to a point where we could no longer take care of him, and the state would have come and gotten him if we didn't do something. So my dad was very stubborn, so he would not allow us to like control anything for him. He got very paranoid as the disease progressed. Was hiding things, hiding documents, whatever too. So we basically took control of Dad legally, and then we moved him to a nursing home in New Hampshire where my brother is and my sons are. And he lived in the first nursing home for probably a little bit, not a whole long time, and then was, we'll just say, gently kicked out because he was very aggressive. They didn't, there were some issues with him and his medication, and he hurt somebody there. So yeah, so they didn't want him around anymore. So they basically, you could tell they forced him out. I won't say the name of that place. I will tell you it was in Dover, New Hampshire. But yeah, not real impressed with them. But I can tell you the last place he was just at, Benchmark at Rye, excellent care, excellent care. Lots of information, lots of updates. My brother and I were very pleased with the people there and the constant communication. It was very nice. I can't talk about this at all without shout out to my sister-in-law Jan, who really spearheaded everything. She's the one who really took control for my brother and I and got things done when it needed to be doing. So Jan, thank you. Little nick there, just a little one, didn't feel it. Oops, this one for the bowl here, but I'm just going to dip the brush tips in the water a little bit. And just do this, let's build it up just a little bit more. So yes, it was kind of, I guess I'll say bittersweet when my wife and I went up on Saturday because we had gotten a call like Thursday that he was with Hospice and they says he has made that turn, which means he was going to die in the next few days. I don't know how they know this stuff, but boy, tell you they do. And so we got up there Saturday and I was hoping he's still alive, and he was Saturday, he was still there. Got into his room. And yes, he was there, of course, looking very gaunt, very, very much like he was going to die. It's just, he didn't have his teeth in, of course, too, but he just didn't look well. And of course, he was on morphine at that point too for the pain, what have you, which was helped. And they were constantly monitoring that. They were in the room quite a bit, checking on him and just taking care of him. And then they came in and they cleaned him up and things like that too. So they took really excellent care of him. The thing I think I was most pleased with is that all 4 of our children were able to make it, and their spouses, to come see Dad on Saturday. So we all of us spent Saturday afternoon with Dad. I'm gonna say shout out to my daughter Natasha too, who had gone through similar things with Hospice, and she kind of knew some stuff to do, and she took care of Dad on a few things to make him more comfortable and explain the things in the room that were there that none of us knew, but she did. Things like the little sponge for wetting his lips and stuff like that. I had no clue. It was there. I didn't know what that was, but she did. So thank you, Natasha. Pass 2 across the grain. But I think Dad really liked all the voices because we were all in the room. We got a bunch of chairs. We were all in there. The staff there, you brought us some snacks and stuff through the day. And we were there all day. Or all afternoon anyway. Because my son, see, he picked us up at the airport, and then we kind of just drove right to the nursing home where Dad was. Of course, it was what they call the memory care units. And I'm just curious too, of all of you who have lost parents to, or are going through it now with parents with Alzheimer's, and what are some of the stories you have, some of the struggles. And I tell you, it was a struggle. The more advanced Dad got, especially before he got into the nursing home, it was a struggle. He was hard to deal with, hard to live with. Defiant on everything I was trying to do. And of course, you're trying to help him and love him and all that and stuff too. And he just has that, like you're going out to get him and all that. So part of the disease. I mean, I don't blame him at all. It's the disease. It just robs you of your parent. So that part was not. It definitely was not a fun thing to go through. It was very much a challenge, and he challenged me royally. Some days more than others, where I just got on my last nerve, and just it was a struggle. It was absolutely a struggle. But I'm glad my brother and I, were able to share the difficulties. He had Dad up there in New Hampshire the last probably couple of years of his life, and we had him down here for like the first 3 years of his onset of Alzheimer's, taking care of him every day, feeding him every day. And that's with him living 6 blocks away, because he wouldn't move in with us, absolutely would not. But he needed to go to the nursing home, so we had to take care of that too. And that just took a while to do too, to do things, legally. And expensive. If you go through the stuff, it's expensive. Thousands upon thousands. I think just for the diagnosis, it was like $5,000. You had to pay like $5,000. I think we got a break. I think we got $1,000 off. It was ended up paying $4,000 my brother and I for the official diagnosis. So things they don't tell you about, it's very expensive. Pass 3 is against the grain. And of course, some of the difficult times brought me back to youth, when Dad and I weren't seeing eye to eye in my youth, in my teenage years, as it were. And how hard he could be, but also got to remember, like, later in life too, because I mean, when younger, like those times, especially teens, late teens, Dad wasn't around. He was a workaholic, just wasn't around, providing for his family. That's the reality of it, providing for his family. So getting past that stuff, and when he moved here, and we had probably a good 10 years anyway before Alzheimer's started setting in, where we would do a lot of stuff together, play a lot of golf together, that type of thing. So I like to remember those times. And for the struggles, that's part of reality. Struggles I had with Dad and just not liking the situation, that's reality. I know my cousins are going through that too right now with their dad, and they don't have the services that we were able to have for Dad. So it is tough. People talk about how tough it is, though, but until you lived it, well, you just don't understand how tough that is. Because they're not going to listen to reason. They've got, what their thoughts are, the negative and paranoia that sets in. Especially when it's still at home before he got in nursing home and no medication. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. But all in all, tried to take care of Dad best we could. And we all kind of rallied together and did that. And so Kevin and Jan and my wife and I, and of course our kids would go to visit, especially my youngest Ryan would go visit him a lot. Always sending me pictures of him and Dad, meeting up, what have you. So that was always nice. So I'm always glad that they were there for him as well. So on this Christmas Day, don't want to bum you out. I'm just remembering fondly and some of the struggles that I had with my dad going through Alzheimer's. But I am still very thankful. I'm thankful for the Lord Jesus Christ, who we celebrate coming to earth on this day, on this Christmas Day. So I say thank you. I say please like and subscribe, and Merry Christmas.